Professor Selim is not here. In fact, we have missed it. He is a very important resource person for Bangladesh climate change. He is a regular representative of our all other climate change events like COP and others. Special guest, Ms. Corinne. I am not going to repeat your remaining parts as per your advice. Deputy Head of Mission, Embassy of Switzerland. Special guest, Dr. Kazi Ahmed, Vice President ULAB. In fact, his remarks could be a full session for this sort of conference, and really through his remarks, this session in Henchoz has become a plenary session indeed. Thank you, Dr. Anis. Professor Kaisar Hamudul Haq, Dean of School of Arts and Humanities. Keynote Speaker, Professor Dr. Ahmed Kamruzzaman Majumder, Dean of Faculty of Science. I can see my direct teacher, Professor Rizwan, Ms. Farah Kovir, a very renowned youth customer of our days. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning. Assalamu alaikum. In fact, I feel happy to be here. It's not only this greenery campus, rather the Vice Chancellor happens to be my direct teacher in IBA. So I would rather be happy if he could be here. And I would like to congratulate CSD for arranging this conference not only for the first time. Being a private university, this is the 6th time they are going to organize this conference, and it's really they deserve appreciation. In fact, this is the responsibility of the organizations like our government, public universities. So in fact, you are just sharing our responsibility, and definitely you deserve the congratulation. I'm happy to see that a good number of interesting and pertinent papers like financing loss and damage, energy transition from conventional energy to renewable energy, particularly which is my area, poverty, health and climate change nexus, blue growth and blue justice is a very new term for me. I would have been happy if I could join this session. Climate resilient adaptation practices, SDG review, and most interesting is sustainability in education. Due to the fact our new generation should be educated about this sustainability, sustainable energy, because though Professor Kaisar Hamidullah has termed it as a new term, but nowadays this is a very frequently used term, necessary or unnecessarily. Indeed, it has become a buzzword. In fact, even in jargon, we always used to use this word, not practicing and believing. And that is the fact. Distinguished audience, in the present day's context, sustainable development is a precondition for fulfilling the development need of present generation, as well as the need of future generation. And in the power sector, in fact, you know that we are always being blamed, or we are being fingered that this power sector is the major sector for pollution and not also being developed sustainably. But definitely I'm going to clarify our position, what we are doing and we are going to do. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, you are aware that our domestic energy resources are depleting rapidly, and we are going to depend on the imported energy for the sake of sustainability. Transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy is an imperative for Bangladesh. Bangladesh had previously relied on indigenous natural gas for power generation, but with the rapid depletion of gas, we have to diversify our fuel mix. And we have realized that, in fact, this fossil fuel mix dependent power sector, we cannot be sustainable. Particularly, this Russia-Ukraine war has taught us that even we have the money for procuring the fuel, we cannot make our power sector sustainable. And that's why, in fact, we had a major shift from now to diversify our fuel mix. And we have realized that, in fact, this fossil fuel mix dependent power sector, we cannot be sustainable. Particularly, this Russia-Ukraine war has taught us that even we have the money for procuring the fuel, we cannot make our power sector sustainable. And that's why, in fact, we had a major shift from now fossil fuel to renewable energy. You see that at times back in 2009, our sector was wholly dependent on the fossil fuel. almost more than 90% of the generation used to come from our domestic gas. And later on, as our rapid depletion of domestic gas, we have diversified through other least cost fuel mix, coal. Liquid fuel was there, but it has been increased as our demand has increased. We have, you know that in 2009, where the access to electricity was 47%, now we have already had 100% access to electricity. The demand was around, say, 4,000 megawatt. Now it has been 16,000 megawatt. And in all respect, we had to, in fact, increase our generation for 5,000 to now 25,000. In spite of that, in fact, we had to experience the load shedding due to the scarcity of fuel. So we felt that unless we have our own domestic resources, whether the conventional energy or the renewable energy, we cannot make our sector sustainable. That's why nowadays, in fact, if you observe that for the last 2-3 years at least, we have escalated our renewable energy development, though we have also the limitations of renewable energy resources. You see, academically, you can talk about various types of renewable energy like solar, wind, biomass, biogas, hydro. But the fact is that other than the solar, we have not that much potential for other resources. Though recently we have inaugurated our first wind-based power plant in the Kaksbazar Kuruskul that has at least given us the light of this prospect of renewable wind energy. So we are now having even offshore wind energy mapping. Hopefully, this solar energy will be followed by another potential, which will be renewable energy. But for whatever you say, for solar or renewable energy, the land scarcity is the main the constraint for us. We know and we have to acknowledge that, and so we cannot go that much for the land-based solar energy. That's why we have encouraged our industries, the building owners to go for rooftop solar. So it was also a precondition for our new connection back in 2011, but that has not worked because that was a sort of, you see, the enforcing regulation. But if you don't have this voluntary, you can say inspiration to the consumer, they will not take it easily. So that's why we have introduced the net metering guideline, through which a consumer now can have solar on his rooftop, and he can now see that how much he can produce from the rooftop solar, which is ultimately cutting his electricity bill. So seeing is believing that he can now understand that that is working, and they are now encouraged to do that. So I think that is a good part, and you see for the last 3 years, though in terms of percentage, our renewable energy portion is now something like 5% plus. Even when I say 5%, I know some of you expert will not agree with me, because when we say the generation capacity, we try to accumulate our national capacity, including grid, off-grid, captive, everything. But if we compare with the grid capacity, it is more than 5% now. And in terms of capacity, it is now 1,200 megawatt. But we are not definitely, having said that, we are not saying that it's good enough. We have taken up a good number of new projects with a capacity of around 10,000 megawatt, which will be coming up within next 3 years. So through that, I think we'll have a very good, substantial portion of this renewable energy in our generation mix. And other than this renewable energy expansion, we have also given importance to our energy efficiency measures. You know that the building energy efficiency policy is on card meanwhile, and that will in fact encourage our industries to go for using efficient appliances, and that will also save some sort of our energy, ultimately contributing to reducing the energy consumption. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me flag the point that Bangladesh is not a contributor to greenhouse emission, but a victim to climate change. Professor Kamruzzaman has explained this emission pattern of Bangladesh, which is definitely in-house, but the impact of our country for climate change is not only due to our own emission. But having said that, we are not denying that we should take the measures of reducing this emission for addressing the climate change. But due to the global emission, global use of this fossil fuel, we are having frequent cyclones, tornadoes, floods, and all this has affected the living conditions and livelihood of our people. But we are working to achieve our greenhouse emissions as well as more resilient development. Considering the adverse impact of coal on the environment, the government has decided not to go for any more coal-based power plant. Even we have discontinued our ongoing 10 coal-based power plants meanwhile. And the coal-based power plant that has been developed has all sorts of mitigation measures. Even the technology is of state-of-art technology with modern emission for addressing the SOx, NOx, and other parameters for contributing to air pollution. And we have also converted our simple cycle power plants to combined cycle to make those more efficient. And we have also given importance to regional cooperation. You know that this region is a very high tourist potential region. So we are having collaboration with Nepal, Bhutan, besides India as well. And our plan is to at least import 9,000 megawatt of hydropower by the year 2041. And we have also made some regulations for making efficient appliances, like start labeling of some consumer products like fan, electrical motor, and other appliances. And SREDA, being the nodal agency for taking care of renewable energy and energy efficiency, has been made more effective nowadays, and they are working to address the issues. And we have also a research organization. You know that the Energy and Power Research Council, I think the universities like ULAB and other universities, they are welcome to collaborate with our EPRC and take up this sort of research works. Professor Kamruzzaman has also expressed the concern that instead of depending on the development partners on a project-based measures, we can have this sort of sustainable programs where the academia, the industries, and the government can work hand in hand. So before I conclude, let me again express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to the CHD and the organizers for inviting me. I hope that the recommendations from this huge 3 days conference will be submitted to the key policymakers and the governments for the interventions in future course of actions. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.